So, ready to finally learn how boxes interact with each other, how those margins play with each other on that battleground that is your browser window? Let's find out in this episode. Okay, so last time we checked, we were here with this cute cat in the middle of the browser, trying to be cute. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to introduce another box with a dog. It was funnier in my head, but okay. So we're going to go to Google. I'm going to look for a dog. Just going to type dog. I'm going to go to images. Now we'll just pick up this dog. We'll right click, open image in new tab. And we got this dog. Just going to copy this. And what I'm going to do is I am going to paste this not here, but in a new part of our index file. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new div right around it. I'm going to build things around this link. Created a div. We won't give this any class yet. We'll do ahref equal to google.com. Right. We are going to close the a tag around this thing. And now what we're going to do, image class equal to centered, src equal to whatever this thing is, close that, height equal to 300, width equal to 300, problem solved. I'm just gonna align this a little nicely. I'm pressing the tab key for those of you who don't know, just making sure that all the divs in the boxes are aligned. Move this a little ahead. Move this. I'm going to move this image as well inside, just so we have some idea of structure, right? So I'm going to refresh this page. And as you can see, there's a new box, but it doesn't have all the properties of the previous one because we have no class around it. So I'm going to give this a class. I'm going to say playbox and centered. Okay, I'm going to save that. And as you can see, we have this other box here. The image dimensions are not correct. The dog needs a little more width. So now we have two boxes, and what we need to do is we need to make sure that the boxes are next to each other instead of on separate lines. How do we do that? Well, the first thing to do is to create a div that holds both boxes together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new div. I'm just going to call it the bigger div /div. Okay, so this aligns with this div. Sometimes it can be hard to figure things out. So we're going to give this a class of master div, right? So this master div, and we'll give it dot master div. We'll give it some properties. We'll give it background color black. That's right. So as you can see, this master div, we see the playing arena. We need to make sure these boxes align next to each other. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this box and we're going to remove any properties that it has of margins. All right, we're going to remove all of its margins and we're going to save it. And this is a standard HTML property of things falling below each other. Now we want them on the left and right of each other. How do we do that? Well, first things first, let's remove the idea of centered. Let's remove this centered thing that we've been going on with. Let's make sure both the boxes play as they want to. As you can see, they fall into the left. We want this box to end up here, right? That's what we want. So what we're going to do is we are going to go and we are going to say, we're going to create a box called, a property called fall right. And we're going to use something in CSS called float, and we're going to say right. Similarly, we're going to create something called fall left. We're going to create something float left. So floats in HTML and CSS allow you to move something to a particular direction. It allows blocks to be next to each other, right? And when you float something to the right, all its properties start from the right? It goes to the top right corner. And now what we're going to do is we're going to give this playbox the fall right. We're going to give this playbox the fall left. You can do the other way around as well. It doesn't matter. In fact, this property will go on the other side. And as you can see, the boxes have split away from each other. Why did the color go? Gonna give this a height, 200 pixels. You see what just happened? Now, suddenly our background div, which is the black color div, just disappeared. What just happened, right? We know this dog went to the right because it's being floated right. We know the other box is floated to the left, but what the hell happened to the background? And the answer is that now that things are floated, there's no reason for the background to have any height, for the master div to have any height. So what we're going to do is we're going to give the master div a height. We're going to say height, well, 700 pixels, right? And this brings back our playing field and our canvas. And you can do a lot of interesting things with float, right? Here you floated something to the right, there you floated something to the left, but you can actually have them right next to each other. And the secret to doing that is to not use a float right, is to just have everything fall to the left. So you can just say fall left again, save that, go back to the browser, and now they stick right next to each other. Now I can actually give just this box a little bit of a margin. So I can say, slight margin, right? Just for this box, I can create a new property called slight margin. I can say margin left 20 pixels, right? So as expected, there's a small margin between this box and this box like we've given it here, right? So this is the idea. And what we can do is we can actually play around with the master div, right? We can give the master div, we can have a constraint. We can say, well, we only want a width of maybe 800 pixels, all right? And we refresh. And as you can see, the boxes stack below each other. And the reason for this is because when you don't have enough space and things can't be floated, the natural tendency of HTML to stack things under each other comes back, right? So what we need to do is make sure that the parent div has enough space to handle both. So we go back and we say, well, that's 2500 pixels. Let's have enough space for both people to play around. And what we're going to do now is we're also going to center this master div, right? So we're going to say master div centered. I'm going to save that. And as you can see, everything's come to the center. And the two boxes, they're sticking to the left because that's a natural property of HTML. But as you can see, everything is now starting to play out exactly like we want it to. So that's it for this video. So in the next video, we're going to learn something interesting, right? We're going to learn how to add a sort of badge to any of these boxes without having to interfere with HTML's different properties. Let's find out about positioning in the next video.